Hey everyone, good morning. So these are 4 pieces of propaganda that I've created. I think this is the most recent one. I need to upload these to the website so that they can be downloaded. Each of them shows the uThrones, shows them in use, and then has at least 1 page or 2 pages of a concise description, and then a verbiage rich synthesis of some aspects of the system. This one is primarily associated with the unifying capabilities of the system and its age transcendent capabilities, its nationality, its religious capabilities of having it recognized as being the singular unifier. Just like the natural world and the energy that we get from the environment through permaculture, perfecting the design of the landscape on which we survive. The sensibilities regarding what it means to care for your home and its purpose, and your new responsibility. I'm sorry, but our sensibilities must change for the planet. And when we change them for the planet, we're changing them for every future generation of human beings and every future generation of all life. Our lifestyle must change by our choice or by nature's. Churchill said the Americans always do the right thing after they've tried everything else. This dovetails with itself. This dovetails with this. This promotes the perfection of the internal self. This promotes the perfection of our relationship with the external self. It's all connected. There is some point at which things can be distinguished, but there is still a connection in some way, whether it's the oxygen that I breathe, or the food I consume, there is some connection, or the electromagnetic field response, or the rain that falls. To not recognize that and to not appreciate the genius of the human beings who were supported by all the other human beings. If it weren't for those economic systems, if it weren't for those cultural systems, if it weren't for those foundational ideas that governed how they approached problem solving, every great person has been a problem solver. They've either solved their own physiological problems or their own mental problems, because what is a problem except discord with reality? Discord with the people, discord with nature. Those are problems that need to be solved. Abraham Maslow codified that. And he was building on other people's efforts. One could argue that all religious texts are rules and stories that enable us to live in big groups larger than 100 people. Our design, our evolution was within those confines for a long time, thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of years. And our biology goes back millions. Unless you dispute this, I will say that I can send you a message and you're sitting right next to me, or you're on the other side of the world. I bet that I can do that with this magical device. And say, of course. That's the atomic theory. None of these religious figures, none of these individuals to whom we ascribe absolute power or infallibility, none of them contributed to the discoveries that make this possible. They were the first problem solvers. They were the first ones to say, okay, now that we're growing our food, we don't need to worry as much. We don't need to expend as much energy as we did. We can grow more, thus we can have more security. That's why granaries were built, to protect it and to store it, so that when in a tough time, we could survive. This civilizational experience could make it even better than we were. How can we measure that? People are having more kids. People can feed more kids. People are having, greater and more satisfying lives because they can integrate these new aspects of civilization, and more people can become participants. The joy of creation is the satisfaction that has driven the chemical production in the human mind, that has synergistically built these more complex, more diverse structures by diverse approaches to synthesizing the reality in which we live. which we can explain if certain ideas are accepted. And they are. But there's a separation between the church and the state. And even in these religious universities, whether they're madrasas, whether the students come from the most fundamentalist culture or the most secular, there's a separation between science and religion in the minds of those fundamentalists. For me, my religious appreciation starts with the atomic theory. It's the filter through which I experience the world. And it's the filter through which I'm synthesizing these solutions to the biggest problems that we face. Which is what? Technology overuse. That's what it is that we need to direct. We need to organize its power and organize a way of counterbalancing how we've got to use our bodies to actualize that power in a observable, experientiable fashion that can be proven, that can be cited in more than just an anecdotal way. We need people to be experimenting with these principles, not just the body principles, but the principles of permaculture. What can you recycle? What life has passed that we can put back into the soil, back into these systems? How can you do that with yourself? How can you do that with your own access to energy, access to life? Everything that we consume was once alive. One of the reasons why fruit fresh off the tree, it tastes better, it's because it's better for you. There are more phytochemicals. It's at a different stage in its death. See, in this position, my triceps are making my arms as straight as possible. You know, people can be double jointed. See, my arms are still extended and still relatively straight. So this is giving me a constant contraction here by trying to keep my arms straight. But yet I'm varying the types of contractions in my hand muscles. I'm varying the types of contractions in my forearm muscles. That's a different type of neural choreography. You see, people think